What's going on, you guys? Coaster here with the talk. Baseball season starts on a Wednesday for the Oakland A's. They're already in Japan as I'm making this video. The season starts in Japan against the Seattle Mariners. Two games that actually count. Starts a week before everyone else starts. This is the first time they're playing in Japan since 2000. I believe it was 2008. We were played against the Red Sox, split the series there. Should have swept them if it weren't for a blown save, but it is what it is. It's in the past. Anyways, so the A's. First of all, let me just cover this team in a sense from off the field. I think we all know we're waiting for a decision on Bud Selig. This has been 3-4 years in the making. We're waiting. Go to San Jose or no to San Jose. And of course, as a fan, I wish we could stay in Oakland. I really firmly want to see us build a new stadium in Oakland and Victory Court, but obviously I don't think that's going to happen. The dreams of that really died. BaseballOakland.com. I know a lot of A's fans. We really believe this is an Oakland team, and it would be sad if they move to San Jose. I'll still be rooting for the team if they do, but San Jose doesn't care about the A's. It's unfortunate. I know right now I reside in San Jose, but that's beside the point. So the team is tied. They're waiting, as I said, waiting for Bud Selig to make a decision, and it's still very, very tied, as in we don't know what's going to happen. They're still taking forever, and we need a yes or no, or else the team is not going to spend. Lou Wolf is saving his money for if they move, or a new stadium, or if they don't move. I don't know what he's going to do. He might. I hope we don't move out of state, because I will say this: if we move out of state or something out of California, I will rescind my fanhood of the A's if that does happen. If they go out of state, if they go to San Jose, I'll still be cheering for the A's, but I still say let's go Oakland, because they're still the A's to me. So we'll see what happens there. Alright, the first part we talk about is position players. First of all, catcher, you have Kurt Suzuki. Now, I think the longest tenured A's player. It's amazing. Never one else has been dumped or traded or retired or gone away. Kurt Suzuki. He had a rough year last season. He needs to get back to the 270, 280 form he was a year or two ago. Last year, I said he struggled at the plate mighty. Hopefully he can call good games down the road. Kurt Suzuki at catcher. First baseman, you got Brandon Allen. He's the one we traded, I believe, Brad Ziegler for him. He started out well last year, and then all of a sudden he kind of dipped statistically. But Derek Barton, disappointment. He was one of the key prospects we got in the Dan Herron trade, but that all of a sudden Barton is just a bust out of these top prospects. Disappointing all around. And of course the other first baseman, who could be first baseman, Chris Carter in the farm system. The other key guy that this prospect has failed with us, unbelievably sad. Brandon Allen has shown more in the big leagues than Chris Carter has. Allen's got a decent, when he does make contact, he's got that power hit, so a lot of promise from him. I think he'll start at first. I hope to see it. Second base, the one proven guy we got is Jamal Weeks, our first-round pick from 2008. One guy who was the spark, or the one positive of last year, the guy, all about the U. It's for you. All about the U. Jamal Weeks, the one positive player. Speed, pretty much that five-tool ability player you could see in an A's player. Like what I'm seeing from him. Hope to see him develop more. Eric Sogard comes out to third base. This was one of the guys we got when we traded Scott Harrison to the Padres. I think when we got Kevin Kuzminoff, we got Sogard with that deal. So Sogard probably is going to work his way up. We got to play third base. I haven't really had much of a third baseman now with all the Scott Sizemore being out for the year before the season even begins. So that'll be interesting. Cliff Pennington rounds out the infield at shortstop. Pretty much a serviceable, average shortstop. I think he can get the job done. Got no issues there. I hope that there's a lot less errors. Last year I was very disgusted. We were supposed to be good defensively, but we were error-prone. That was awful, how the infield was playing. To round out the bench, you still have Adam Rosales. Kind of disappointing. Now, he started well, and then he's been injured, and it's been disappointing. And I already told you about Barton, how much I've hated him. So that pretty much rounds out the infield. Going into the outfield, this is the one position Billy Beane likes to pick up a lot of. He picks up the outfielders to create a big log jam. First of all, you got Coco Criff starting, and of course he's your center fielder. The one guy who's also been a decent player for us, hitting-wise, getting the steals, the aggressive base running, pretty much, serviceable. I think he's on the 1-year deal, last year of the deal. Then you got Josh Reddick. This is the guy we got in exchange for Andrew Bailey. Supposed to be the key player on the Red Sox. Reddick, supposed to be promising. We'll see what happens. Trading Andrew Bailey didn't bother me. I just wish we got better return. I think Reddick is supposed to be the only key player. The other two are in Class A, so pretty irrelevant right now. Reddick is supposed to be the key player, and it's going to be lots going to hinge on him to see if that trade works out or not. Going on, the other side, the big signee we got this whole offseason, Yoenis Cespedes. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. I haven't read up too deeply. But he was the highest touted position player out there from Cuba. We'll see what he does. He's getting paid a lot, but it's just money. We have money to spend, and we're not spending it because we want to wait for a stadium. So if this deal turns out to be so-so, it is what it is. It's not like we wasted a lot of people or prospects for it. So Cespedes will probably round out the outfield. Other guys who might be playing DH or outfield, Seth Smith. We traded Josh Outman and I believe another pitcher, I think it's Moscoso. We traded those two for Smith, serviceable outfielder. Picked him up before we signed Cespedes. And then lastly, you have Johnny Gomes on a 1-year deal, short-term stuff. Just the short-term bench, I don't know what he's going to provide, if he's going to provide anything at all and contribute. And then, of course, the guy in the prospect, Michael Taylor, one of the most disappointing guys. The whole Matt Holliday thing and trades that went out, I think we traded prospects for Matt Holliday, then we traded Matt Holliday for prospects. The main guy in that deal was supposed to be Michael Taylor, and after all the trades, and Michael Taylor hasn't panned out, and it's still been very, very disappointing to see him not work his way up to the major leagues. Still a painful disappointment. But going down, of course, the rest of the people departed. We traded Trevor Cahill. We get Jared Parker in return, who could fight for the starting job later in the season. He's in AAA right now. But Gerard Parker, supposed to be the top prospect in the D-backs farm system when we traded Cahill. I think Cahill peaked in 2010. Haven't been impressed with him since. It might have been a fluke season, but if he tears it up in Arizona, it's because it's the National League. He really struggled last year, so I'm okay with how we traded Cahill. Going on with the starting rotation, you have Brandon McCarthy, one of the main guys from this last year's roster. He was okay. I won't say he's great, but he was average. I think he'll get the job done, be serviceable. Going on, of course, you got Dallas Braden. He's once again average for the most part. I know he had a perfect game, but still pretty average overall. Bartolo Colon, way past his prime, an old guy just to fill the roster spot. And then you don't know who's going to take the 4th and 5th spots, if we'll run a 4-man rotation or 5-man rotation. I mentioned Jared Parker earlier. He could fight for the 5th spot later down the line. Graham Godfrey has some experience. Thomas Malone and Brandon Peacock. Now, Malone and Peacock were the two key guys we got from the Nationals farm system when we traded Gio Gonzalez. And I like the return we got from that. The Nationals gave up a good portion of their farm system for Gio. Honestly, Gio, I think, had once again, kind of a fluke season, somewhat. He still walked a lot of people and still with the strike zone, so we'll see if he's for real or not, but he's in the National League, so we're not going to see him anytime soon. Peacock, and as I said, Peacock and Malone are the two guys that might work their way up down the line. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, the starting rotation, this is one of those years where I'm actually not so confident in the pitchers, like in years past. Pretty average compared to other years overall. The starting rotation, don't have much expectations there. Going on to the bullpen, congratulations to Grant Balfour on earning the closer job, being the setup man last year. I like that Balfour is the closer, and I think most A's fans do with that. Brian Fuentes goes back to the bullpen. You just got to utilize him properly. I think Bob Guerin failed at that last year. Melvin actually has done the right moves for the most part with the bullpen. You got Joey Devine coming back. You have Fonte de los Santos. One of the guys, he was one of the key guys we traded when we traded Nick Swisher. De los Santos has worked his way up. Then you also have Tyson Ross. I think he's coming back from an injury. Hope to see him work his way maybe into the starting rotation down the line. I'm not exactly sure. Then you got Neil Wagner. Not sure what he's going to do either. But bullpen should at least be serviceable, average enough. The the closer should be fine. But Grant Belfour, if we go to someone has to go to the All-Star game from the A's. Grant Belfour's got a good shot at that. Overall, the hitting, I think the hitting will be okay. Last year, I know the stats don't look good, but when the second half came around, the pitching started to be bad, while the hitting was actually respectable. Once Bob Melvin kind of took his spot, and players were starting to hit. I don't know how the offense was actually being respectable, but in the second half it was, and I think the hitting will be a little more underrated this time around. It's just a matter of if the errors and the defense, we'll see what happens there, but the hitting, I think some of these prospects might surprise a little bit of us here and there. Especially I like to see the emergence of Weeks to break out a little more. It'll be really interesting, of course, for any baseball fan to see what Cespedes does. If the average baseball fan's not going to know this team's roster, you probably have to buy a program or something because, as I said, they kind of had a mini fire sale going on. But you just got to build for the future. Last year I said that it was a must-win year and just fake it for the sake of winning, and I was pretty right because they traded all the stars and they want to rebuild. They need to rebuild again, I guess. It is what it is there. You have to do that. Okay, I know this is a long video, but now, lastly, I got to just talk about the manager. Melvin should be doing his job. I think he's been a respectable manager. Hasn't been given, obviously, the pieces of the puzzle. Billy Beane's been limited with resources. I think the A's barely made a profit last year, even with the revenue sharing. The A's, so that's why the spending's been pretty low, understandably so. They're just waiting for Selig to make that decision. The outlook of this team, the over and under in Vegas is 72. If they get 73, they're over. If it's 72 or below, it's the under. This is the question I'd like everyone to answer, whether you're an A's fan or not. Over or under? Because honestly, I think we can hit the over. People might say we're getting 100 losses because we traded everybody in the offseason. But I think some of these young guys will get us a little bit more wins than 72. I think we can hit the 75, 76 win plateau. May not seem like a lot, but if this team somehow just fights not getting in last place like the Mariners, I'd be fine with that. The best case scenario is that they're barely over 500 or over 500. That would probably be the best case scenario. There's pretty much no expectations for this A's team. It's just letting the kids play. Let the kids play and let them develop this year. Those are the expectations most A's fans and non-A's fans have for this team. People have them in last place. I know a lot of people have them behind the Mariners, thinking that Seattle got a lot better, but I beg to differ. I think both teams are pretty even. Mariners kind of suck offensively. A's will really suck pitching-wise, for all we know. Rounding out the AL West, though, the Mariners, they've beaten us head-to-head, had some trouble there, and we've had trouble hitting on them and even just pitching on them. But their offense still very questionable. Texas Rangers, they've lost C.J. Wilson. They still have a nice, hitting lineup. Of course, Yu Darvish, the other big foreign prospect that's coming over. A lot of expectations for him. And then, of course, you got the Anaheim Angels, where they're the big winners of this offseason, and getting Albert Pujols. I'm not impressed with their overall lineup from top to bottom. You can say what they want, but they have all these overpaid players. The Angels just love to spend. That's all they do. And I think, they have a decent pitching staff, but I'm not impressed with their bullpen. You could say what you want about Walden, but their bullpen is flawed. This is honestly the Rangers' division to lose. I think, the Angels will be competitive with them. I know a lot of people are picking the Angels because of Albert Pujols coming there, but I think this is the Rangers' division to lose, in all honesty. The Angels are very overrated, in my opinion, and I think they're very vulnerable because the A's can still beat them head-to-head. I'm not impressed with the Angels. They'll have a winning record. They'll probably be contending for the playoffs, but I still think the Rangers are the better overall team. Now, quickly on to a National Baseball outlook. Alright, on a national side, with the World Series and everything, I need to just thank the St. Louis Cardinals for how they did. Were able to beat the Texas Rangers last postseason. That was epic. Thank you. Rangers were 99.9999% of pretty much winning the championship and one strike away. And thank you, David Freese. I I did not want to see the Rangers win with C.J. Wilson running his mouth. I know he's in Anaheim. I still hate him, but it was really annoying to see that guy just run his mouth on the A's and not getting the whole situation down. Of course, the Ranger fans will hate him too, as I said before. But yeah, going with some predictions here. Overall, I have the Rangers winning the AL West, as you've already heard. AL Central, I have the Detroit Tigers. Very easy pick. Last year I picked them and I called it. Didn't do so bad there. AL East, right now I have the Yankees winning that, and I think the wild card, I think the Angels are going to get the wild card. I don't think the Red Sox or the Rays will. I know any teams in the hunt. I think Toronto is very underrated with the moves that their general manager has made. By the way, props to them on switching back to the classic 90s uniforms. I like the updated logos for them. Going down to the NL side, National League, I think the Giants will win the division for the National League West. I obviously don't want to see that happen, but I think they're still the better team. I think the Dodgers might have some chance if they can learn to hit and the ownership situation gets fixed. Rockies and D-backs will still be there as well. Everyone but the Padres basically can win the NL West. D-backs did a very good job last year, and I got to thank them for that. NL Central, probably just going to pick the Brewers. Or Brewers Cardinals are going to be fighting for it, but I'm going to pick the Brewers for this one. They're going to be very, very competitive. Maybe the Reds, long shot, but I'm not sure. If the Pirates play the way they did the first half last year, maybe they'll be in the hunt, but they might just fall off in the second half. And then lastly, in the NL East, it's too easy to pick the Philadelphia Phillies. Some of these guys are overpaid, but they're still a solid team to win the division. The wild card is up for grabs. The Braves, I think, downgraded. I'm going to go outside the box and pick the the Miami Marlins to take the wild card. I think I'm just going to go outside the box, not really much analysis there. And that means I think the Cardinals could not make the playoffs. So, and there's just so few teams with the way this MLB playoff format works. Championship, it's hard to predict that kind of stuff. I just would probably predict I'm going to say Detroit wins the AL and the National League. I'm going to say the Phillies. So, Tigers, Phillies, World Series. I'm not going to say who wins it, but right now that's just my early prediction if you just want to know my thoughts. But, of course, it means nothing in the big picture. Everyone can just laugh at that in the long term. But for the A's, I think we can get to the over on the win total. I just want to see development of the youth. Let me know what you guys think on who you got winning the World Series, if you do. And let me know what you think about the A's outlook with wins on the over or the under of 72.5. So that's about it. Sorry, it's a long video. I have the times. You should have been the timestamps you saw in the description. But yeah, go A's. Just enjoy the show.